Hello and welcome to this new webinar. My name is Stefan de Menk and I'm part of the product management team here at Televic Conference. Today we're going to talk about our newest D-Cerno central unit called the D-Cerno AE. The webinar itself will take about 30 minutes of your time, and throughout the webinar we will ask 3 questions. If you answer all of these 3 questions, you will have a chance to actually win an Amazon gift card, so do stay alert. At the end, we will upload the recording on our website, so if you want to share this or watch it again, don't hesitate to go to our website, which is televic.com/conference. So I think the majority of you know Televic already as a provider for conferencing equipment for large institutions, but also for parliaments or, for instance, city councils, where we typically have formal meetings. And for us, a formal meeting is something where you have to ask permission to speak, or where there is a voting mechanism or language interpretation, or all of those together, right? But since a few years, we see a trend towards something new, which is the informal meeting space. So with informal meetings, we mean that you just sit down in a meeting room together with your colleagues, for instance, and just have a conversation with each other. There's nothing formal about it, it's just speaking with each other. And as you probably know, since COVID, many of those today are hybrid. So we have some people at the far end joining the meeting over Zoom or Teams. So we want to provide good solutions for these type of meetings as well. And this is all part of our new slogan or our new vision and strategy called Creating Better Understanding. So creating better understanding for us is really our new vision and strategy, and it has a lot of meaning for us. To start off with, we want to make sure that everybody is being heard correctly and can hear each other correctly. That can be in their own language, but also in another language by using interpretation as well. We also want to make sure that we listen to our customers in a clear way and that we understand what they want, so we can build and design the products that they require for their meetings. So let's have a look on how we can use this new vision and strategy of creating better understanding and apply this to our D-Cerno product line. So the D-Cerno is already a great product. It's a discussion-only conferencing system, which is very easy to set up and very easy to use, but also with great audio quality. It's so simple, you just need to take a shielded network cable and connect the discussion unit with the central unit and start your meeting without the need to actually set up a difficult system. However, as we are moving more and more throughout these hybrid meetings, we saw that sometimes there are some issues in the market space itself. Sometimes it's not so easy to set up a hybrid meeting. So let's have a look on what these problems specifically are, right? And the first issue that we saw in our with hybrid meetings is the problem of inconsistent audio. And I think everybody here in this call actually recognized this already before, right? Somebody has some kind of a central microphone system, either a simple tabletop or a ceiling mic installed in the room. But because people are sitting at different distances from that microphone, it's not so easy to actually understand them in a consistent way. Some people are sitting far away or close by, and for the far end, it's often very difficult to understand what people are saying. The opposite is also the case, that if somebody from the far end is speaking, the people in the room are sitting at different distances from the speaker itself, again, making it difficult to understand each other during your meeting. A second problem that we're seeing is speaker identification, right? So throughout the meeting, if you have, for instance, a camera tracking system, you want to make sure that the person who is talking is actually being seen. And this is not also always so straightforward with a central microphone system. Sometimes it picks up the wrong person, and then you hear at the far end somebody speaking, but you're seeing somebody else. And again, this is not creating the better understanding that we would like to go to. A third issue is, again, something that I am sure everybody here has had before, It's a problem with private conversations. At some point, you want to say something to your neighbor, you have a small private conversation, but this is being picked up by the microphone system and being transferred to the far end. And then from the perspective of the person at the far end, sometimes you hear these two conversations in parallel, making it very difficult to actually understand what is going on. And of course, you can say, okay, you can't have these private conversations throughout a meeting, but sometimes these are really necessary. Imagine, for instance, a lawyer with his client, and they want to have a small conversation to discuss something. You don't want this to be picked up or even recorded. You want to have that capability to have a private conversation. And then the last one is also very important. It's simply the fact that it's difficult to set up a hybrid meeting. We need to realize that the persons who are involved here, they are not AV specialists. They are not technicians. They are simple people who just want to have a meeting together and want to make sure that they hear well and being heard on the other side. And sometimes it's really difficult to set this up. How many times have you seen a group of people huddling around a laptop, just trying to figure out and to listen to what the people at the far end are saying because they were not able to set up their meeting system in a specific room? So these problems are not just linked to corporate meetings. In courtrooms, for instance, you also have some issues with the existing AV systems. So for instance, courtrooms where you have temporary setups. In some cities, there isn't a courtroom available, so then the judge and the whole team is moving from city to city to have a court session locally. So you have to have the capability to set up your court AV system quite quickly and easily. And again, realizing that these are not AV specialists, so it needs to be as easy as possible. The second point here as well is the fact that there are remote witnesses, similar to remote participants in a corporate meeting, for instance. A remote witness is something that is very interesting because if you have to go to a court session as a witness, you probably will have to take a day off from work, or you need to drive to a busy city, so it's quite intrusive in your day-to-day activities. It's even more difficult if the person that has to go to the court session is already incarcerated. He's in prison already. At that moment, they need to arrange prisoner transportation for him, which makes it even more difficult to get the person there on time. By introducing the capability of remote witnesses, you can circumvent these issues. You simply dial them in over Teams or Zoom. A third requirement here at courtrooms is the fact that you need recording. And these can be used for instance, evidence or just for the records that you need to keep those. And there are very specific recording needs. You, for instance, want to record the judge and the prosecution and defense on different tracks so you can clearly understand what's being said and you can make a transcription that is very clearly. And then the last one, but definitely not the least one, is bad acoustics. So in these courtrooms, for instance, these are typically old buildings or historical buildings where you don't have the opportunity to set up a good AV system. It needs to be something that is set up quickly and has to be able to handle those bad acoustics in that room. So you don't have the luxury to add a lot of speakers or different type of microphones in the meeting room. So before we continue with how we can solve all these issues, we would like to start off with the first question, a first poll, which is, we wanted to know what is the most common problems that you face in your day-to-day meetings with hybrid meetings. Is it the fact that sometimes you can't hear each other well enough because of the inconsistent audio? Is it the speaker identification that goes wrong? Is it the fact that private conversation is being picked up? Or is it simply setting up the system that is always difficult to do? I'll give you a few seconds to answer this question. So let's have a look on how we can fix some of these issues with our D-Cerno product line. And the current D-Cerno Central is already able to fix some of these issues, But we want to take the next step, and with this we introduce the DCerno AE, which is our newest central unit, which is now, instead of being tabletop, it is rack mountable, so you can easily integrate it into an existing AV rack, for instance. So what's different, what's new about this? So let's have a look to the connection points here. So first of all, you see at the front, you have the 3.5 millimeter line in and line out. So with the line in, you can, for instance, link an external audio source and just bring this onto the floor itself. Or if you want to monitor and listen to the conversation, you can connect, for instance, a headset to this as well. Next up, we have the volume button, and the volume button just to change the volume of the speakers of the units. We also have a recording button on the front to start or stop the recording, and of course the power button to turn on the device. At the back, we also have a lot of different connection points. So on the left, you see the power switch, the power connector, and then a dip switch where you can change some power settings. So what can you do with this? Well, for instance, at some situations, you don't want anybody to touch this device. It's somewhere installed in a technical space or in a rack, and it's closed off. But you want to make sure that nobody has to go in and push a button to actually turn the system on. So with one of these dip switches, you can configure the always on functionality or the automatic boot functionality, which means that from the moment you connect the power, it automatically starts up. There's also a possibility to have wake on LAN, for instance, and many other settings as well. Next to that, you have the 4 network connection points towards the discussion units. And here we use the same discussion unit, the same delegate units as before. Nothing has changed with them. So you can actually take your existing DCerno setup, just swap the central unit and make advantage of all of these new nice features that we're going to introduce. Today you can connect up to 4 different branches with the 4 different ports, or combine 2 of them in a loop to have an additional redundancy. At this moment, you can connect up to 50 units on one central unit, and at a later stage, we'll introduce a network extender, which will allow you to extend upon that number. Next to this, of course, you have the network connection point. You have a dual USB-C port, and then the balanced I/O, 2 times in and 2 times out. So you see there's a lot of connection points on this specific product. So let's have a look on how we can use that. What use cases do we have to actually use those in a specific setting? And the first one is fairly straightforward. It's the same as with the previous DCerno Central. It is as a discussion-only system. And we still keep that original spirit of being able to quickly set up the system. Again, simply connect the network cables, the shielded network cables between the central unit and your devices, and you are ready to have your discussion. If you want to change anything, you want to make a change to the configuration, you simply go to the web page and configure the product completely from that side. From the people who already know our Plexus product line, this will have the same look and feel as our Confero configuration pages on Plexus, so this will definitely feel familiar. On those pages, one of the things that you can configure is, for instance, the microphone modes. So you can use this as a push-to-talk system, or if you have a bit more formal meeting, you can also configure, for instance, request to speak or group mode. Something that's new, however, for the microphone modes is the fact that now we introduce also hands-free meetings. And what is a hands-free meeting? Well, it does what it says on the tin. It's simply you sit down at a table and you start talking. You just talk without having to push a button or fear that you're not being picked up by the system or by the far end itself. So this is a new technique where we combine 3 different solutions. First one is Dynamics Mix Minus. And with this, we can make sure that the speakers are always activated, so they do not get cut off whenever the microphone is active. Secondly, we have gain sharing. And with gain sharing, we allow the microphones to always be active and working, so you never miss anything anymore. And then thirdly, you have speech detection. And with speech detection, we can ensure that, for instance, a camera tracking system or an API or just simply the LEDs on our devices can still trigger. So what's special about this? It's the fact that this is completely different from something that's more traditionally used, which is Vox or voice activation. But with voice activation, the problem that you have over there is the fact that if you start talking, the first word is being cut off. This is because the microphones are inherently disabled and only turn on when you start speaking. This means that the first word typically is not picked up by the system, making it very difficult for the far end to actually hear what's being said in a clear way. With hands-free meetings and then gain sharing, which is being used, the microphones are always active and always being picked up. So this is something that we add to our D-Cerno as part of our smart audio and control feature set. If you want to have more information about this, please check out our previous webinar on smart audio control if you want to learn and understand this more in detail. So this hands-free meeting concept is part of our general meeting concept, where you simply sit down and have a discussion with your colleagues or with some other people. We can have up to 16 microphones active at the same time with hands-free, but we also have the possibility to mute ourselves. And this is quite unique in this market space. Typically, if you're using a centralized microphone system, like a ceiling tile, for instance, you can mute the whole system, but you cannot mute individual participants within a meeting room. However, as we are using dedicated discussion units for each person, you still have a button on these units. So if you want to mute yourself, you can simply push and hold the button and have a conversation with your neighbor, or maybe if you need to cough or if you want to just sneeze or something like that, you don't disrupt or disturb anybody in the meeting. So this gives you that advantage where, for instance, other systems do not have. And again, here to come back to that use case of the lawyer with his client, if they just want to have a conversation, they push their button, they can have a talk and then release again. All of this works together with one of the first USB connections. So as I showed before, you have a USB connected at the back of the central unit. If you would connect this to your PC or to an MTR, for instance, you can use this system as an external audio device. So on your PC, it will be recognized as a microphone speaker system. And in Teams or Zoom, you simply connect or select the correct one and you're done. You don't need to install anything. You don't need to configure anything. It's simply plug and play and very easy to use. So here again, we pitch back to that point that you don't need any specific AV knowledge. You don't have to be an expert to be able to set up this system. And then the third aspect next to this is the recording capabilities. So we can record everything on an internal storage, or we use the secondary USB connection to connect a flash drive or a hard drive to the system and record on that. If, however, you need some more capability, instead of connecting a flash drive, you can also connect a cable, a secondary cable, and connect this to your PC as well. But instead of having one single microphone on your PC, now you have up to 8 different microphones. So if you want to record individual microphones from the conversation, that's perfectly possible. It's 8 microphones or 8 groups of microphones, so you can combine them as well. This is a requirement that is very much in demand for court sessions, again, where they want to, for instance, have a separate track for the judge and the lawyers during the court session itself. Okay, so before we continue, let's have again a small poll. So I mentioned it before, but what do you think is the maximum number of active microphones on hands-free mode on this new DCerno AE? Is it 2, 16, 32, or infinite? I'll wait a couple of seconds for you to add your answer. Okay, good. So we continue. And today we've talked about, again, the issues that we were facing with hybrid meetings, but also the solutions that we provide. But these solutions are specifically for end users. We make it easier for end users to work with our product, to set up our product, to use our product. But we also thought about the integrators for this. So it's not only easy to use, it's also easy to integrate with. So let's have a look on what do we exactly mean with this. So for the integration, what do we provide? Well, first of all, we have AES67. So you've seen the network interface at the back. This is not only for the configuration of the product, but it's also an AES67 interface, which allows you to connect the system to a DSP, such as BIAMP or QSYS, and then completely configure your audio path throughout the system. And this you can combine with something called DSP mode. So what is DSP mode? Well, within the system, if you select DSP mode, we will take 8 microphones or 8 microphone groups and automatically take each of those and put them on separate AES67 channels. These are then fed into the DSP, where you can do the complete processing. If you want to add a specific zoning on these microphones, or EQ them differently, or add an echo canceller on every single one of them, it's up to you. You have full control of the audio part of our product. And once you're done, we simply put the output back on separate AES67 channels and get fed back into the system and put on the speakers of our products. So this gives you full control as an integrator to work with our system and to define how the audio should flow in and out of our products. This is also combined with camera control. So we provide protocols which gives you a list of the active speakers. So you can use that to actually point the camera into the correct direction. A second aspect, which we already slightly talked about, is all our connection points. So we saw the 3.5 millimeter audio interfaces in the front. We saw the balanced I/O at the back, and also the single and multi-channel USB, which we have also on the back of this product. This on its own is already extremely powerful, and there's a lot of things that you can set up with this product by using these connection points, but it becomes even more powerful if you use our custom routing capabilities. So with the routing capabilities, we have the possibility to just define which way the audio should flow throughout our system. If you want to take, for instance, one of the audio inputs, the auxiliary audio inputs, and put this on a PA system and mix it together with the audio coming from the far end, you have it's perfectly possible to set this up with our audio routing capabilities. Next to this, you also have the possibility to easily group the channels. Like I said, for instance, with DSP mode, you can choose between 8 microphones or 8 microphone groups. With this routing capability, just group them together in a very intuitive way and have this all set up as you want as an integrator. You can also develop multiple setups, multiple configurations, and then quickly jump between those by using the API to control this routing. Okay, so to recap, what have we discussed today? We've discussed our newest D-Cerno Central. So we still keep that great audio quality. We definitely expanded on the ease of use for our end users, and we added the ease of integration for our integration partners. So to finish off, and before we go more into detail on the capabilities of, let's say, the product offering that we have, let's have one more final poll question. And this is simply, we wanted to know what for you is the most interesting feature on our newest D-Cerno Central. Is it the fact that now we can do these hands-free meetings? Is it the DSP mode in combination with AES67? Is it the fact that we have the 2 USB interfaces, one for the connection with Teams and Zoom and the other for recording capabilities? Or the fact that we simply can route the audio wherever you want it to go? I'll give you a few seconds to answer this question. Okay, so let's continue and have a look on what exactly you can order in this product, with this product. So, as we said, the DCerno AE, we have a basic version of this with the product number you can see on the screen, which is available end of March, so that's not too far in the future, so already available. With this, you will get a plug-and-play discussion system, which has these new hands-free meetings as well, so you can quickly set it up and have a meeting. Also hybrid, so you'll have the USB connection with that as well, and some fixed audio presets. So some predetermined presets you want to select which one works best for you. And then secondly, you have a D-Cerno Advanced license, which later on will also provide the multi-channel audio over USB, multi-channel audio over AES-67, with the DSP mode, of course, and then also the fact that you can have custom audio configurations designed in our product. So with this product overview, we conclude the webinar for today. I would like to thank everybody for listening in. Before we close off, I just want to recap that every single webinar will be put on our website, so please have a look to our website, to televic.com/webinars, or the link here on top. I also would like to invite you to our next webinar, which is going to be held at April 25th, where we're going to discuss the potential of having a custom conferencing solution with our products. Just before I finish, again, thank you, and please follow us on our social media channels, like LinkedIn or Facebook or YouTube, and we'll see each other next time. Thank you very much.